It is time for the temple ticker as part of the conference recap. I don't know if you were like me as you watched conference. I'm sure you were, Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh, where you're like, are we templing today? Are we taking a break?
That's always my fear. I remember when President Monson was around and he had a couple times where he's like, hey, we're not going to announce any because we're focusing on the ones we've already announced. So,
Mhm.
but with President Nelson, he's still going.
Yeah.
I,
I loved and I can't remember his exact verbiage, and you might remember a little bit better than me, but it's like, and all that's great because we build temples, and now like it was the hardest shift, like segue intro, and all of those are great things. And here's the temple, but he did try, to his credit, to segue over to, and this is the temples.
yeah, there's always that segue that he has to do, that transition. And I'm like, how is he going to make this? I'm like, is it not going to happen? Oh, it's going to happen. I remember once with President Monson, he simply said, before I begin my remarks, I'm going to announce 5 new temples. And so it was like he had no segue. He's just like, I'm
Yeah,
just going to announce these and then I'll talk.
yeah. I sort of I appreciated it. I also appreciated that he didn't do the hey, please keep yourself in check when I announce the temple thing. And you hear, at least in the broadcast that I heard, and I can't remember which temple it was. It was probably 5, 6, or 7 in. You hear a woman go "Woo!" at the announcement of a temple.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah. So without any further ado, we are going to talk about the 15 locations that were announced in spring of 2023 General Conference, where they are, what might be unique about those particular places, and in no specific order except for the order that they were announced in General Conference. Let's get to it.
Yeah, the first one announced was one that's a little bit hard to pronounce. I think it's called Retalhuleu, Guatemala. So this is going to be the sixth temple in Guatemala. And this is only a town of about 90,000 people. There is a mission headquarters here, so it does have a decent church presence, a nice stake, and a few more stakes around it. So we'll probably have about 5 stakes in a district.
Which I thought was interesting. It's the mission for Guatemala that's headquartered there, or is it one of these like area, headquarters?
It's one of like I think there's six or seven missions in Guatemala. So it's one of those that are kind of in the periphery.
Oh,
We
that's
talked
cool.
about last time we talked about the Huehuetenango temple.
Mhm.
Basically, there's one temple in right now in Quetzaltenango, and then they're building the one north in Huehuetenango, and now this one's south in Retalhuleu.
So they're
So
just getting it, get all the parts. Let's get Guatemala taken care of.
yeah, that's right. If you
Check
served in that
box.
former mission, then that used to be just one, and so there's like 3 temples in that mission.
So will you go down?
No,
No.
that's not my mission.
Oh. I love it. No, are you gonna go? No. Heck no. What? No. Same country, different mission. Come on, please. Peru.
Yeah, Peru, Iquitos, Peru. So this is one of my honorable mentions that I had last time. This is gonna be the seventh in Peru. It's in a very unique spot because it is in the middle of the Amazon jungle. Um, there is not any highways that are built to this city. So if you want to go from the main part of Peru or from Brazil to Iquitos, you either have to take a plane or you have to take a boat through the river.
Hmm.
So it's a very isolated place. I remember in 2012, President Uchtdorf visited this place after he dedicated the Manaus Brazil temple. And he kind of, did the, hey, get a temple recommend and everything, prepare. So ever since he's gone there, this had kind of been on my radar. There's 3 stakes in the city, so it's not like a small presence. It's a decent presence of church, and there's a mission headquarters there. So yeah,
But I imagine it'll be a pretty small one. I didn't realize how remote that was. So that's definitely why that location is getting one.
yeah, definitely.
Brazil, Teresina. Did I say it right?
Yeah, Brazil had 2 more temples, one in Teresina, one in Natal. So this is the mean the 19th and the 20th temples.
That's crazy.
Um, they're both in the northern part, one in the kind of the interior, Teresina, and then Natal on the northern coast. They'll each probably have about 5 stakes in it.
Are these both part of the same temple district currently? So now they have sort of divided that temple district and get their own temple district. Is that how that works?
Kind of close.
Okay.
Teresina goes to Fortaleza, and then Natal goes to Recife.
Okay. Okay.
They
And then
kind of
we go
close
to
to each other.
and then we go to the Philippines, which bless sweet President Nelson's heart. He can do the Spanish. He did not do well at the enunciation of the Filipino, the Tagalog cities.
Yeah, luckily a lot of cities in the Philippines have like Spanish names, but
Uh-huh.
this one doesn't. I think it's called the Tuguegarao City Temple, Philippines. So that'll be the 11th, and then Iloilo. That's kind of easy to pronounce, although it's kind of interesting to look at. That's gonna be the 12th. So the one in the north, it's gonna be in Northern Luzon. I didn't expect this one because there was already one announced in Santiago, which is kind of close by. So that was a surprise to me. And then Iloilo, kind of expected this one, but it's kind of it's its own island. So there's about 5 stakes on that island. On the island right next to it that you can get to by ferry, they're building a temple right now. So I mean, kind of surprised a little bit too.
But I mean, we've got the money, which people hate when I say stuff like that, but we've got the money. And I mean, when it's these isolated areas like the one in Peru, like its own island in the Philippines, it seems to me to just make sense that if we can do it, we should. If people, can save those, multiple hour or day drive or, boat or plane trips, or, they can only go once a year because that's when the boat water, can be high enough to whatever,
And it's yeah,
whatever the
it's
thing
not
is.
affordable to go onto a ferry.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. How come only two are dedicated in the Philippines? That's the 12th that was announced. Is it just
Yeah,
building
so
over
I
there?
mean,
What's the deal?
the Manila Temple's been around since the 80s, and then around President Monson's time, they dedicated the one in Cebu. But because of delays, we'll talk about later, Urdendeta, Philippines was announced like 12 years ago. It's just probably going to be dedicated this year, so it's been a lot of delays. And then President Nelson has announced, now it's I guess 9 temples in the Philippines. So it's kind of if you know in the late 90s in Mexico, there was only the Mexico City Temple, and President Hinckley announced like 10 temples. And so kind of the Philippines is in the same area where they just had 1, 2 temples for a long time and then just huge expansion.
Okay. Okay. Come on, Philippine construction builders. Let's get Wadsworth out into or what's the other one? Zwick. Let's get the Zwick construction
There's
company
a
out to.
the company Haskell, which has a lot of presence in Utah, is building a lot of these temples in the Philippines. So
Oh, interesting. Okay, well
yeah.
let's get them over there. Let's get it done. This one I was surprised only because I know where it is because of where in the world is Carmen San Diego, Jakarta, Indonesia.
That's right. Jakarta, Indonesia. President Nelson went to this place in 2019, and he gave the, hey, we'd like to build a temple here. We just need, you guys to, I don't know what he said, to get temple recommends. So obviously they did have plans. And what's unique about Indonesia, this is maybe underplayed. It's the largest Muslim country in the world.
Hmm.
And so there's 2 stakes, all of them are, and there's a district, all of them are on the island of Java, which is super densely populated. Probably like 95% of the members of the church live here. The rest of
Wow.
Indonesia is pretty underreached, doesn't really have any missionary activity. For context, the Philippines and Indonesia basically began missionary work in the same like year or so.
Oh wow. Wow. Okay.
And the Philippines has now 12 temples, over 100 stakes, almost like 750,000 members. And then Indonesia, by contrast, only 2 stakes, probably less than 10,000 members.
So I don't know anything about Indonesia, so you get to teach me and others. You said it's all on the island of Java. So is there like is it like what's my poor misunderstanding comparison, like Hawaii is multiple islands but we all call it Hawaii, and then there's the Oahu and there's Maui and there's all that. Is it similar to that, and Java happens to be the one that has the most population on it? Is that
Sure, yeah, like Oahu is the most densely populated of all the islands.
okay?
Kind of the same in Indonesia, that Java is the most densely populated out of all the other islands.
Okay, well you need to serve a mission, everybody, so we can get into Indonesia some more. Come
I
on.
think I think visa's kind of hard to get. There's only
Oh,
been one mission there, and I think it's just been hard to send foreign missionaries to Indonesia. So
well, they should open up to MasterCard. I couldn't help myself. If visas are too hard to, I hate myself. I'll see myself out, everybody. Hamburg. This was surprising to me. Of all the ones that were announced, this was the one that I went, wait, what?
Homburg, yeah, this is if I were to pick a temple to be announced next in Europe, it would not have been Hamburg. So it's gonna be the third temple in Germany. There's one in Freiburg and one in Frankfurt. So this is in the north, kind of by the Danish border. It's probably just gonna have two steaks, the Hanover steak and the Hamburg steak. Yeah.
Yeah, just simple and Germany for some reason. There we go. Take it. This one I know probably what most excited, anticipated, and I like your speculation around some of this. The Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada.
Yeah, I was an unbeliever on this one. I was like, it's too close to Cardston, which is a historic temple built in the 1920s, 30s. The first temple in Canada, the first temple outside the United States. I mean, it's a fairly sized temple. It's like the Mesa Temple, has a good amount of capacity. But there's, I guess, just a lot of members there in southern Alberta, and a lot of them, there's all those Mormon colonies, Cardston, Raymond, McGrath. A lot of them have kind of moved to the city, which is Lethbridge, kind of the closest city. There's four stakes there. One of them is a YSA stake, the only YSA stake in Canada. So yeah, that will probably have about 7 or 9 stakes that will go to Lethbridge, which only leaves Cardston with like 4 or 5 stakes.
Which you speculate maybe following suit like the St. George Temple, like the Manti Temple, like the Salt Lake Temple, and maybe they're going to announce a renovation soon. I feel like they've got to. I don't feel like that's that big of a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it was renovated in the 90s. Maybe in like another 5, 10 years they could renovate it. And if they wanted to, preserve the murals and everything and the historic preservation, maybe they just want a little bit less wear and tear, a little less people going there, and so they'll probably be able to preserve the history there.
California, big winner. Now there's something more interesting in Bakersfield, California than there was. But before we go there, San Jose, do you know the way to get to that temple? Whoa, 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 whoa.
You're great to talk to, Richie, because you know all these things that I'm just too young to know or don't care enough to
Yeah,
know.
thank you. Thank you for both of those things. You're like, either I'm way too young or I just don't care. So perfect. San Jose, was this surprising to you?
A little bit. Like I said, this is a pattern for this conference that there's these large temples that are historic that have huge capacity, but they got basically temples announced near them. So the Oakland Temple has been, around since the 60s. Huge capacity, very large, like auditorium size endowment rooms. So I was kind of thinking that, well, they're not going to cut that down. So basically, they're going to cut that district in half with the San Jose Temple, have like 9 stakes go there, leave Oakland with another 9 or 10 stakes. So yeah.
The question that I have about the San Jose Temple will it be as grand that all of the Californian people will take their daughters there for their quinceañera pictures? Have you followed that at all?
Yeah, I have seen that actually.
The Oakland Temple is like the place of all the places in the state of California where people who have quinceañeras will bring their 15-year-old daughters to get their quinceañera pictures. It's big, elaborate ball gowns, and on any given day, I'm told, you can go to the Oakland Temple grounds when the weather is at all, not like Utah right now, which is snow ridden and all that stuff, but anytime the weather's good at all, and there are multiple people, big ball gown dresses, getting their quinceañera pictures taken at the Oakland Temple.
Yeah, let's see where it's built. If it's built in the hills of Cupertino or if it's in the valley. It's gonna be interesting to see the design, if they're gonna choose like a Catholic colonial design or if they're gonna be like a more modern design, kind of like Oakland. It'll be interesting.
And now Bakersfield, listen, they've already increased the value of Bakersfield by 200% by putting something there that's actually interesting and worth stopping.
Man,
the 12th in California, the Bakersfield Temple.
I've heard this reputation, but I have never gone to see it.
Yeah.
The church newsroom like boasts, oh, it's near Death Valley, like very, very nice location.
Yeah. Bakersfield, honestly, take a trip sometime. It's probably 8 hours from where you live.
Okay.
It's not worth it at all. If there's someone that you just want to get to know and you're wanting to do a drive and you're just looking for something different, just tell them, hey, let's go to Bakersfield, California today. And when you get there, you'll be like, what? Why does this place exist? There is one good restaurant. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like you go eat there, and then you come right back and go, I don't ever have to do that again.
Okay. I'll put that on my bucket list.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it'll probably have about 6 or 7 steaks, all the way spanning from Ridgequest in that Death Valley area, all the way to Portersville up in the north, and then all the way to the coast to San Luis Obispo. So that will probably be that huge temple district. Which
Jeez.
it's also taking away from the LA temple district, which is another of these large temples that's probably underutilized. But I guess it's not not part of the calculation anymore.
Well, and we built him too big, maybe. Some people would argue
Yeah,
back
these
in the
temples in
day.
California, they were large. Like back in the day, they like back in the day, people were moving from Utah to California. So these temples are bigger than most of the Utah temples. People thought that California is the future of the church. It's going to be
Sure.
headquarters there in the future. So it's a different mindset
Nope.
that they had back then.
Nope. Take that, California. Take that. Now I heard the announcement of Springfield, Missouri, and I thought, my hand cart's not ready. Is this somewhere significant that I need to? Is this a sign of the time, Corey K. Ward?
It's closer to Branson, Missouri. If it probably has more of that reputation. Not
Okay.
quite by the Jackson County. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be the third temple in Missouri after Kansas City and St. Louis. It's actually the future Bentonville, Arkansas temple, which is gonna be dedicated in September. They'll attend that temple until this one's built. So probably like 5 or so stakes.
Interesting fact, and you didn't know this. I just found this out through some of my news sources. The Springfield, Missouri temple. Lots of Mormons performing in Branson, right? That's sort of like
Yeah.
it's like the Mormon Broadway. Some people have called it, right? The Osmonds
Okay.
did a stint there or whatever. We gave up doing the live ceremony in the temple, right? It used to just be Manti and Salt Lake, and now Salt Lake being closed, and obviously Manti being closed, we don't have that. It's all video presentation anymore. The
Okay.
Springfield, Missouri temple is all musical. It's going to be musically done by performers from Branson. I just heard that. I saw that on Reddit this morning. So
I
it's
love it.
very exciting for the
Yeah.
Springfield, Missouri temple. I'm not sure that it's true. In fact, I would bet probably that I'm just making this up for entertainment purposes, but how cool would that be to be able to go through your endowment session with people singing the endowment?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Was that sacrilegious or just irreverent? I vote irreverent. Winchester, Virginia, everyone, and I have a small contingent of friends who are up in Virginia who are like, what? What are we doing here? What is this about?
Yeah, this baffles me for multiple reasons. I would not have guessed this in a million years, honestly. Um, so it's in, I didn't quite know what part of Virginia it was in. I thought it was maybe in the south, but no, it's in the very far, the most far north in Virginia that you can get. It's kind of maybe it's becoming like an exurb of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And so it's going to kind of shave off a couple stakes from the Washington, D.C. temple, which is another big temple that's has very large capacity. Now, it baffles me for multiple reasons because it's going to be probably have a Winchester stake and the Martinsburg, West Virginia stake, and West Virginia doesn't have its own temple yet.
Mm-hmm.
And if they would have replaced it in Martinsburg, maybe instead of 2 stakes, they would have had 4 stakes, Frederick, Maryland, and Tamingsburg, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia would have got its first temple. But sorry, West Virginia.
But and we know why the shade here, right? West Virginia can't have nice things.
I guess so. Well, it's maybe Charleston one day.
Yeah, maybe. Charlotte, North Carolina. I think maybe this was the one that someone wooed out. Is that?
Yes, it was. And this is my
Okay.
prediction.
Okay.
So they must have listened to the podcast. So yeah, it's gonna be the second in North Carolina. 8 or 9 stakes. So, medium temple.
Now there's already one in North Carolina though, right? In the
Raleigh area,
yeah,
Apex.
Raleigh area.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So is the church growing in that area? That seems like a lot of stakes.
Yeah, there's been a couple new stakes like every couple years. So
nice. Yeah. Okay. And then we end out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Why does Harrisburg sound familiar to me?
It's the capital of Pennsylvania. So maybe
Oh,
when you were memorizing those in school.
yeah, that is it. That's 100% it.
So yeah, I mean, it's not too far away from Winchester either. So kind of surprised, not as much of a surprise, but definitely it's in that DC, Philadelphia area. I'm gonna take all the stakes in the center part of Pennsylvania, probably 6 or 7.
And there's already the Philadelphia temple, which if you've never been to, have you ever had a chance to go to that temple?
I haven't.
Super cool. It's right in the downtown heart of Philadelphia. And if you can avoid getting mugged, which I was unable to do, I did in fact get mugged while I
Oh
was
no.
downtown. That's a real story. You can wander around, and there's like an amazing cathedral that's down there. Just this strip almost of like churches and historic buildings. It's super cool, all within walking distance of anywhere you'd stay in downtown Philadelphia.
Okay, it's on my bucket list.
But I'll say this: if someone starts yelling at you, don't ignore them, because otherwise they'll hit you from behind because you
Oh,
didn't know they were coming.
okay. Thanks.
Story for a different time. So this rounds out the temples to be 315
That's right.
that the church has now, and 133 by President Nelson, which is just insane.
Yeah, 42% of all temples are going to be announced by him. And so my friend and I were texting this week, and I was like, how many are going to be announced? And there's been something going around on the internet that I guess Kevin Pearson at the Linden Temple groundbreaking, he said, like, oh, there's plans to have 500 temples by 2030. And so basically we're like, oh, well, they just need to have like 14 to 15 every conference. And on the dot, 15 temples. So are we going to have 500 temples
I
by the
say yes.
bicentennial of the church?
I say yes, because that's dotting the earth. Here's something horrible. Who's Kevin Pearson?
He's the president of the Utah area,
Oh,
Kevin
okay.
W. Pearson.
Okay. I was thinking of the guy from This Is Us. Isn't that Kevin Pearson as well?
The
That's
culture stuff, like,
that's a young show. That's a show that's on TV now. I'm not 100 years old, Corey K. Ward, but
I
I
don't watch TV. I'm sorry.
you're gonna need to call me if you're in a. I don't mind that you play the age card with me. That's perfectly fine. But you're going to have to call me sir then anytime we chat. Yes, sir. Yeah, or elder, so that you respect your elders. That is the end of our conference recap. Get excited because Corey's going to be part of our next episode that comes out later this week. It is our 12th birthday episode. We'll have a temple ticker as part of that. We hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body,
Hope that if you weren't here this week, that you can be here next week.
and that when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, we'll be saving a seat for you
On the back row
of
of the
the cultural hall.
hall.